The message arrived at the galactic core with a burst of tachyon interference, rippling through the Council's vast relay network. Deep within the great chamber of the Galactic Council, an ancient Voker archivist received it first, its bioluminescent fronds pulsing in distress as it decrypted the data stream. The source? A blue-green world on the far edge of the Orion Arm. Sol 3 ***. Humans. A deep murmur of clicking mandibles, vibrating tendrils and ultrasonic hums filled the chamber as the council convened. Representatives of 1,000 species, some older than the stars themselves, gathered in the vast spiral of seats surrounding the great core, a pulsating living AI that held the sum of the council's knowledge. The species of Sol 3 has reached interstellar capability, the archivist announced, its telepathic voice laced with unease. They are aggressive, warlike and unpredictable. A cold silence fell over the chamber. This was not the first time a species had emerged from their homeworld into the vast dark, but humans were different. They had spread across their world like a wildfire, waged wars that reshaped continents, and yet somehow, against all odds, they had survived. Worse, they thrived. Containment protocols must be enacted, rumbled Grand Speaker Ithrak of the Velther Dominion, his massive crystalline body glistening under the chamber's artificial suns. They must not be allowed to expand unchecked. The council had seen this before. Rising species, believing themselves the pinnacle of evolution, spreading like a plague before their inevitable fall. The council's duty was simple: to warn, to guide, and, if necessary, to eliminate. A decree was issued. ###the warning. Within days, a sleek diplomatic vessel, the Zyphrin, slipped past the Kuiper Belt's icy debris and entered Sol's inner sanctum. It bore the council's decree, an invitation, a warning, a demand. Earth's response was immediate. Humanity, ever curious, did not react with fear nor awe but excitement. They sent back a message, welcoming the delegation with open arms, eager to make their mark on the galactic stage. When the Zyphrin landed on Earth, its delegation of diplomats and xenobiologists were greeted not by a primitive species, but by a world that had long since defied the odds. Towering cities, AI-driven civilizations, and an energy infrastructure that rivaled even the most ancient species. But what unsettled the delegation the most was not humanity's technology. It was their eyes. Those who met them, those who spoke with them, looked at them not with fear or reverence, but with the quiet, calculating gaze of predators sizing up their next move. The warning was delivered. Cease your expansion. The galaxy is not for the reckless. It is for the wise. Heed our caution or suffer. The humans listened. They nodded. They smiled. And then they did what they always did. They ignored it. The arrogance of the Zelvari. Among the Council's great empires, none were more ambitious than the Zelvari Dominion. A race of cephalopod-like beings with vast fleets and an insatiable hunger for conquest, they saw Earth not as an emerging civilization to be warned, but as a resource to be harvested. Council edicts were suggestions at best to the Zelvari warlords. They had subjugated countless worlds, breaking civilizations before they could rise. Humans are fragile, High Warlord Voskin scoffed in his private chambers, watching Earth's military movements through stolen data feeds. They are small. They are weak. And they do not know their place. The humans were expanding. They had built their first outposts beyond their solar system, mining colonies on barren moons, automated warships patrolling their borders. They did not seek war, but they prepared for it. And that, to the Zelvari, was an insult. Despite the Council's warnings, the Zelvari fleet gathered near the edge of the Sol system, cloaked beneath the event horizon of a dying star. It was a force unlike anything humanity had encountered: bioorganic warships, weapons that could tear moons apart, boarding pods filled with genetically engineered horrors. The invasion was set. In 3 cycles, Earth would belong to them. ###the human response. The first attack came swift and brutal. A Zelvari raiding force emerged from the void, striking at a fledgling human colony on Proxima B. Outposts were obliterated, civilians slaughtered. The Zelvari did not expect resistance. They were wrong. Before the raiders could even establish control, human warships arrived in force, and they did not fight like prey. They fought like a species that had spent thousands of years perfecting the art of war. There were no cries for surrender. No attempts at negotiation. The Zelvari warships, built for overwhelming subjugation, found themselves outmaneuvered, outgunned, and outthought. The human ships did not rely on brute force but on cunning, adaptability, and a ruthlessness that the Zelvari had never encountered before. Within days, the raiders were exterminated. Earth's response to the attack was not diplomacy. It was calculated retaliation. Across human space, war factories roared to life. Ships that had never seen battle were launched in swarms, their AI battle networks calculating thousands of possible engagements before a single shot was fired. Then, humanity did something unprecedented. They sent one message back to the Zelvari homeworld. A single, two-word transmission. Try again. The Zelvari laughed. They should not have. Asterisk, the great invasion begins. High Warlord Voskin stood at the bridge of the Dread Harbinger, the flagship of the Zelvari Dominion, its biometallic hull pulsing with the lifeblood of 1,000 conquered worlds. The battle had gone exactly as he had predicted. Humans retaliated, but they were still primitive, still young. Their little victory at Proxima B? Nothing more than a fluke. They didn't understand what true war was. That was about to change. The Zelvari had mobilized an armada, one of the largest ever assembled. A fleet so vast that their ships blotted out entire sections of space. They would strike Earth itself, cripple humanity before they could expand any further. The galaxy belonged to the strong and humanity would kneel, or burn. Aboard the Dread Harbinger, Voskin's second-in-command, Lord Strategist Chivax, observed the incoming scans. Human defenses are inadequate, he sneered, his tendrils twitching with amusement. Their warships are scattered. Their fleets lack cohesion. They don't even have planetary shields. Voskin let out a guttural, clicking laugh. Typical. They will fight. They will struggle. But in the end, they will fall like all the others. With a command, the invasion began. The Zelvari ships surged forward, their gravitational drives bending space as they approached the Sol system. At the edge of the Oort cloud, they encountered their first human warships, small, nimble destroyers, barely a threat. Voskin didn't even order an engagement. Let them run, he said, watching as the humans turned and disappeared into the void. They know they are doomed. That was his first mistake. The trap is sprung. By the time the Zelvari fleet reached the asteroid belt, they realized something was wrong. Their ships were being watched. Not by crude, outdated scanning technology, but by stealth satellites, drones, and reconnaissance ships that had been waiting for them. Every move the Zelvari made was tracked, logged, and sent back to Earth. And then, something chilling happened. A human transmission cut through the Zelvari fleet's encrypted channels, overriding their communication systems. It was a voice, calm, unbothered, utterly fearless. Welcome to Sol. Then came the detonations. Humanity's ambush. Humanity did not fight wars like the other galactic species. They did not rely on brute force or overwhelming numbers. They relied on strategy. Hidden within the asteroid belt were thousands of kinetic bombardment platforms, massive tungsten rods mounted on automated launch stations. When the Zelvari fleet entered the field, hundreds of these rods were fired at near light speed. The effect was catastrophic. Zelvari warships, designed for atmospheric superiority and ship-to-ship combat, were not built to withstand planet-cracking projectiles. Entire capital ships were obliterated in seconds, their hulls ruptured by the sheer force of impact. Frigates and destroyers tried to evade, but the humans had calculated every possible trajectory. In minutes, the Zelvari lost a third of their fleet. Panic set in. Voskin, for the first time in his long, brutal career, felt a creeping sensation of doubt. But he was a warlord. He would not be deterred. The Zelvari counterattack. Voskin roared an order to his fleet. Press forward. Annihilate them. The Zelvari armada surged toward Earth, desperate to break through the human defenses before they lost more ships. Their war engines roared, bioplasma cannons charging to fire upon the fragile blue world. And then the human fleet arrived. It was not the ragtag, scattered force Voskin had expected. It was a wall of steel and fire, moving in coordinated formations that should have been impossible for such a young species. The UNSC Wrath of Terra led the charge. A mammoth battleship, bristling with mass driver cannons, railguns, and a shield system unlike anything the Zelvari had ever seen. Flanking it were dozens of AI-coordinated warships, smaller, faster, but just as lethal. Their weaponry was unconventional, magnetic acceleration cannons, fusion lances, and nuclear-pumped X-ray lasers, technology that ignored traditional energy shielding and tore through Zelvari defenses with surgical precision. Voskin realized too late that he had made a mistake. A terrible mistake. The Butcher's Hour. The battle that followed was not a battle. It was a slaughter. Zelvari warships found themselves outmaneuvered, outgunned, and outclassed. Human warships used a combination of adaptive AI targeting, predictive analytics and swarm tactics to tear through their fleet with merciless efficiency. Every movement the Zelvari made had already been anticipated. Then came the boarding parties. Human marines, clad in power armor, launched from stealth drop pods, breaching Zelvari ships with military precision. These were not panicked, desperate fighters. They were veterans of 1,000 wars. And they brought hell with them. Voskin watched in horror as human forces stormed his warships, clearing entire decks within minutes. Zelvari warriors, bred for strength and savagery, were outmatched by human adaptability, teamwork and sheer brutality. Reports came in, entire divisions wiped out. Command centers seized. His fleet was being dismantled from the inside out. This was not how it was supposed to go. The final blow. Realizing that the battle was lost, Voskin gave the order to retreat. But the humans had anticipated that too. As the Zelvari ships attempted to flee, they were ambushed by cloaked human corvettes and long-range artillery platforms positioned along their escape route. Missiles, railgun slugs and kinetic strikes ripped through their formation. One by one the mighty Zelvari warships fell. Voskin's flagship, the Dread Harbinger, took a direct hit from a human dreadnought's mass driver, shearing it in half. His escape pod never launched. The High Warlord of the Zelvari Dominion perished, watching the ruin of his once invincible fleet. A message to the galaxy. When the last Zelvari warship was reduced to drifting debris, the humans sent one final transmission to the Galactic Council. It was not a declaration of war. It was a warning. We told you to leave us alone. You didn't listen. Next time we won't stop at your fleets. The council chambers fell silent as the message played. For the first time in its long history the Galactic Council understood fear. The aftermath of the massacre The wreckage of the Zelvari fleet drifted through the void, a silent graveyard of shattered warships and lifeless husks. The proud dominion that had once raised civilizations to the ground had been broken in the span of a single engagement. On the bridge of the UNSC Wrath of Terra, Admiral Elias Kane watched the battlefield with a grim expression. The victory was total, but there was no celebration, only the cold understanding that this was just the beginning. Behind him, a holoscreen flickered to life, displaying a secure transmission from the United Terran Directorate. Proceed with Phase 2. Kane nodded. The war wasn't over yet. The Galactic Council's crisis meeting. In the spiraling chambers of the Galactic Council, panic reigned. The footage of the battle had already spread across the known galaxy, carried on the transmissions of thousands of different species. The Zelvari Dominion, once feared, once unstoppable, had been annihilated by a species that should not have been capable of such destruction. For eons, the Council had believed itself the arbiter of peace, the guiding hand that ensured balance in the galaxy. They had underestimated humanity. Now they faced an existential question. Was humanity an ally, or the greatest threat the galaxy had ever known? Grand Speaker Ithrak, his crystalline form pulsing with unease, addressed the assembly. We warned them, he said, his voice projected across the chamber. We gave them a chance to halt their expansion. They did not listen. Councillor Vrex of the Harkeen Syndicate, a reptilian overlord whose people had ruled entire sectors, hissed in frustration. And now they have sent us a warning of their own. A silence hung in the air as every representative replayed humanity's final message. Next time we won't stop at your fleets. The Zelvari refugees. The few surviving Zelvari warships limped back to their homeworld, their commanders in disgrace, their empire in ruin. On Zelvari's prime, the once proud citizens of the Dominion gathered in confusion and fear. The Empire had never suffered a loss this devastating. They had never lost a war. But now they had no fleet, no warlords, no future. And humanity wasn't done. Days after their defeat, Zelvari deep space sensors detected incoming ships. At first, they assumed it was another alien force seeking to exploit their weakness. Then the distress signals from their outer colonies went silent. The humans had arrived. The second wave. Unlike the Zelvari, humans did not believe in leaving enemies to recover. The retaliation came not with another fleet, but with cold, calculated extermination. Human. The night skies of Zelvari's prime burned as the first wave of human strike teams descended from orbit. Unlike the planetary invasions of old, where massive armies clashed on the surface in drawn-out campaigns, humanity's approach was surgical. There were no grand land battles. No mercy. No hesitation. The The first phase was orbital bombardment. Precision strikes targeting energy grids, military installations and command centers. Within hours, the once thriving metropolis of Kotor, the seat of the Dominion's power, was reduced to a husk. The second phase was cybernetic infiltration. AI sleeper programs, implanted months before the invasion, activated within the Zelvari's own planetary defense networks. Their own turrets turned against them. Their ships, still docked in orbital repair stations, were hacked and detonated before they could launch. The third phase was the most devastating of all. The human ground forces landed. The Butchers of Soul. The elite of humanity, the Void Reapers, Titan Legionnaires and Cyber Huntsmen, descended like specters onto Zelvari's prime. These were not ordinary soldiers. They were genetically and technologically enhanced warriors, products of millennia of evolution and warfare. Their orders were clear. No negotiations. No occupation. No survivors. Zelvari warriors, once feared across the stars, fought back with the savagery of a cornered animal. Their bioplasma weapons, their towering war beasts, their shock troopers. It didn't matter. The humans were stronger. Faster. More ruthless. The last stand of the Zelvari. Deep beneath the ruins of the Grand Warlord's palace, the last remnants of the Zelvari leadership gathered in the underground war chambers. Lords, strategists, and commanders who had once conquered entire sectors now cowered beneath the cold metal of their war tables. "We must surrender," Lord Strategist Chivax whispered, his tentacles twitching in despair. "There is no way to fight them." High Priestess Ziralon, once the spiritual guide of the Dominion, hissed in fury. "They will not accept surrender." She was right. At that moment, the security doors breached with a deafening explosion. Human Black Ops operatives stormed in. Silent, efficient, relentless. In less than 60 seconds, the last leaders of the Zelvari Dominion were dead. A message to the galaxy. As the fires of Zelvari's prime faded into cold embers, humanity sent one final transmission across the galactic network. A message directed at the entire Galactic Council. A single video played. The once mighty homeworld of the Zelvari, a world that had existed for millennia. Now nothing more than scorched ruins and drifting ash. Then a human face appeared. Admiral Elias Kane, blood still staining his uniform, looked directly into the recording device. His voice was calm, measured, final. "This is what happens when you ignore our warnings." The message ended. The Council's dilemma. The Galactic Council watched in stunned horror. For centuries, they had believed themselves the keepers of order, the guiding hand of civilization. But they had never encountered a species like humanity before. A species that, when pushed back harder. Some council members demanded immediate retaliation, but against what? The Zelvari fleet had been stronger than the council's own armadas, and they had been wiped out in days. Others whispered of diplomacy, of surrender, A grim realization set in. The galaxy had changed. Humanity was no longer a species to be watched. They were the new rulers of the stars. The new order. As the council deliberated, humanity did not wait for their response. New fleets were built. New colonies were established. And across the stars, whispers spread of a new empire, one not of peace but of iron and fire. The Terran Imperium had begun. And the galaxy belonged to humanity now. The end.